How have you learned to translate complex research into easily digestible writing?
I think one of the things that I do to help facilitate that is that I read a lot at all different levels. You know, my day starts off, I read the newspaper. I read the Washington Post, New York Times, The Hill, Politico, and like Pink Sheet every single day, Morning Consult. I'm like every listserv on the planet. I read the things that I know my audience is reading, so I can get a sense of what their language is, what the kinds of communication they're used to is, and then I read a lot of very complicated things, so I'm able to keep up with my technical skills. And one of the funny things for me is that in college, I was a biochemistry and biophysics major, and I thought, thank God I'm a scientist. I'm never going to have to read or write another paper again. And wow, was that wrong? I spent hours, and luckily I love reading. I used to just do it for pleasure. I think when I was in the Peace Corps, I read something like 300 books a year because I had a lot of time on my hands. We're talking like I read War and Peace twice. And I just try and read a huge variety of different materials. Make for a very boring person if you only read JAMA and the New England Journal of Medicine. You also make for a very boring person if you only read Us Weekly. Part of my job is contextualizing what's going on in the world. So I read a lot of the papers just to see, what's happening in the world, to keep abreast of the political sentiments. But also it's, absorbing how people understand and digest information. And I'm lucky I have several friends who are journalists, and they're really great about telling me, this is how we present information. I'm always trying to talk to people. I feel like being open to criticism. Recently I wrote a piece, it was just like a 2-pager, and I was told by one of our lobbyists that it was a little bit politically tone deaf. And that was great. That's the type of feedback I want. And I completely rewrote it, and our clients were over the moon thrilled with how it turned out. And so being open to criticism, asking for feedback from a lot of different people, and then again, just absorbing information from tons of different sources can really help you think about, is this appropriate for the audience that you've got? You might have a staffer from a particular technical panel who is much more savvy in terms of technical knowledge than someone who's just sort of like a general congressional staffer. So even knowing those differences and then, finding out the background of your audience can really make a difference as well.